So today, though, we were going to talk about the ongoing stuff. We'll see if this political spectrum or this political horror show ever comes to an end. But the defections, I think that was kind of the thing you wanted to address today. So all these, it always seems like momentum is gathering, but it's felt like that for 10 years now. So, what are your thoughts?
So I'm actually like gonna search up a list of GOP senator a list of GOP operatives who are resigning this year because if I remember, like there were at least like he can pardon me.
No scares. Yeah.
Yeah, I just snarfled my food today.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's at least like what 20-ish. Okay, so here we go, just straight from Dr. Google himself. Four main senators, including Mitch McConnell and Tommy Tuberville, are no longer seeking re-election. And let's see, I would say about 12-ish representatives, not including governors, not including judges. Some of them include Mike Collins, Chip Roy, Tom Tiffany. I know that Marjorie Taylor Greene has also dropped.
Yeah.
Um, there are so many people who are literally yeah. Departing representatives, according to Legistorm, is 24 Republicans versus 16 Democrats. And a lot of the Democrats who are also resigning are either getting into a different office or they were like right on the centrist part. So I'm saying
Yeah.
I'm like, there's something happening here. The right wing is
Yeah. Yeah. Rap,
it's rats on
rapture.
ship.
And it's one of those things where, I mean, this change is good. And everybody always wants to hit you with that fear. Like, what if you get in somebody worse? And it's like, not worried about it because how much worse? Who could possibly be worse than what we have right now? It's like, just change, change.
Bro, I am literally a person getting off of opioids, and if I wanted to, I could probably do a better job than whatever the hell's going on in Congress, even if I was drugged out of my mind. You
Yeah.
know
Well,
why? Because half the time I'd just be fucking snoring.
yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true too. But just that fear conditioning, and it's so rampant in the United States where, yeah, people are always afraid, and it's in everything. People don't want to quit their abusive job where they're not making enough money, and they tell you, well, and I mean, our system is all designed for that because our health insurance goes through our job, so it's like, well, what happens, if I change and I've got a gap in coverage or if I lose that new job and they get all this, like this unknown danger when people just they inflate their fear of the unknown danger and they reduce their hopefulness for a better future. And that seems to be like what the United States needs to wake up. I mean, this is a nation of just cowards, is really all you can say at this point. Because everybody just embraces this abuse, out of fear that things would be worse. And
So,
what's what we got to change?
so speaking as somebody who's currently dealing with an abusive family member who shall not be named, but I think everybody can kind of piece together what's been going on. A lot of what you're seeing is actually very common among people who are stuck in cycles of abuse. And I speak as somebody who has been trying to work on their own issues with that on multiple levels because, there is a cycle that tends to repeat. And one of the things is that once you start getting abused a certain point, first off, you believe that you deserve it or that other people that they're abusing deserve it because after a while you stop being able to trust your own gut. So whenever you see like GOP voters going, "Oh yeah, those people deserved to be punished." That's what that is. And as far as like the cycle of abuse and the cycle of fear, one of the weirdest things I've noticed with a lot of abusers is that they tend to what's the word? They tend to make you afraid. They condition you to just accept it. And this is true across the board. For example, there was one experiment where they had a bunch of rats where they kept getting shocks through the electrical floors. Rats that were given an opening where there would not be a shock would all, as soon as they felt the shock, go jump through a hole so that they could get into the other room. The ones that did not have an opportunity to get out, got the same, like, opening later on, but they just kept bracing themselves for more shocks, because those rats presumably assumed that whatever would be there would be just as bad as if not worse.
Yeah. And this topic of, especially now during the holidays, because there is so much external pressure for just to maintain systems of abuse, particularly now. And it's like when people start talking, especially when and I've seen these people like, well, just get over yourself and go and have dinner with your relatives. It's just like, we're
No,
talking about the relatives that have physically probably abused us, through the years. And these are the same people. Like, the whole GOP has just become, the guardians of pedophiles. And when it really comes right down to it, I mean, it's like, it goes back to, we all knew which uncles or which cousins to stay away from at Thanksgiving. And a lot of the reason I'm not taking my kids to those places. I do not want those people to, abuse my kids. And this is what the conversation needs to be. I mean, above all things during the holidays, I mean, your extended family is secondary to making sure your children are protected from predators, right? And
you would
just
think.
this head in the sand. Go ahead.
You would think that that's the number one thing. No, like, it's so funny how many, like, I think that most people have seen this on Leopards That Ate My Face or Estranged Parents on Reddit, where they're just sitting there, they're like, I don't understand why my daughter won't see me on Thanksgiving. All I did was vote for Trump and I didn't even tell her how to vote. I'm like,
Yeah.
really, really can't figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And and just this protection, and I was talking about the other day when I was talking with Natasha K and Will Fullwood, how, we always other the abusers, but the abuser's in the house. I mean, the most dangerous person, um, for a woman is probably number one, and number two are her father and her husband, and that's where the danger is.
Mhm.
And then we get all these right wingers who start talking about protection and all this stuff, and all that's just projection, because the people are out there stomping around saying, I have to be the protector, are the ones who know darn well that they're the abuser. And so we have just like these on top of each other. There's just so many layers. I don't know how much trauma I need to trigger today, but it's, it's just, maybe I
No,
hope
but
this feels like a safe place to you,
oh,
Oceana, because
it absolutely is. Like, as a lot of people know, I'm currently trying to rebuild my business. I'm trying to rebuild my relationship with my husband, and we're both trying to move out of our current living situation because it's extremely unhealthy for me to be there. But the thing is that when you're talking about this, when you said that protection thing, I kept freaking thinking of The Sopranos. You know why? Hey, yeah, we're here to protect you. Just
yeah,
pay us a little bit more
oh yeah,
money. You know what I'm
oh,
saying?
yeah,
Well, then you pay them and they're still not protecting you from an actual robber. That's because they are the protection racket. It's very interesting whenever I hear all these men's rights activists talking about, oh, well, what would you do if you needed protection from someone? I'll be like, protection from who? A man?
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Seems kind of like a self feeding cycle.
Yep. It goes back to you meet the people picking the bear in the woods because the bear runs away. But it's just layers upon layers upon layers where people just, I guess, they just do not want to have these honest to God conversations. I was talking today about, I did a note about how, in the United States we have these mass shootings. It's because this is a white supremacy culture, that allows them. It allows them. And the abuses in the home, these patriarchal models and all these things just stack on top of each other. And it's just, there's such an effort, even among people that feel themselves in the center, and even those who are left leaning in the United States. They just want to avoid, we want to look, there's like 80% of our culture we just don't even want to look at. And then we try to fix everything by changing the remaining 20% that we choose to recognize. And getting back to your original theme, maybe all these politicians leaving Congress, they're finally just giving up. They're like, it's hopeless. And perhaps new blood coming into office will start giving us a chance at making a better society.
Yeah. Sorry, my cat has decided to enter the chat. He's like, excuse them.
That's the
Not
yeah,
sure
the
if you could hear.
overlords. The
Yes.
overlords that are here to tell us what's real. But the other thing though too, we have something to keep our eye open for. The election tomorrow in Tennessee. Have you heard any whispers about that?
So I know that right now a lot of GOP reps have said that they're no longer seeking reelection, that they're no longer interested in working with anyone really. And the funny thing is that like it started to spread to the judges as well. They've suddenly grown a conscious. Some of the excuses I've heard from GOP based operatives to not, it is not Substack without a cat. That is correct. And thankfully I have 5 of them. So, yes, we definitely have that. Some of them have claimed that they're not seeking reelection and that they're divesting from the GOP after one person used the wrong term or something like that. We've had judges who have come out and said, "Hey, all of this is wrong. This is pure and simple,
Yeah.
um, discrimination against people." And it's so funny that all of them are starting to say the exact same things. They're saying how awful it is. They said that they want to, get this, that, and the other. And I find it very telling that all of them are doing this the same time.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And
they're all lawyers. They all know that all this stuff is illegal, especially the older ones, that actually have some experience. And I think more and more of them are coming to that awareness like I got to get the hell out of here cuz a lot of people are going to go to jail because of this regime.
yes, and that's one of the interesting things here. Also, like just seeing everything there, it's like I'm interested in finding out why all of them are suddenly rebelling now. Why didn't they do this in November? Why didn't they do it? Oh, wait a minute. That's right. The Epstein files are coming out. There are now there are now pictures. I've seen at least one that was quoted on that site as true of Donald Trump kneeling before Bill Clinton. I was really hoping it was a horse, man. I'm very disappointed in Bill Clinton because you know what? I expected better out of him. I don't wanna
Oh,
think about him having an orange smear down there, you know what I mean? If it was a horse, that makes sense. The horse can't freaking help what it's doing, it's just a damn horse, but no.
yeah.
Come on, man. Bill, really? Like, send them all to jail, absolutely. But,
Yeah. Yeah.
like, why, Clinton? Why did you have to accept a BJ from him?
Yeah.
Monica Lewinsky was somewhat hot.
Oh, but hi. Yeah. You kind of that news. I still don't know how to handle that news. John Pierce mentioned he's like people are fickle. You see it in football when a team is winning, the manager here is a hero. 6 losses, then they get the sack. And but I mean, it's also true though because the stakes are so high right now, and I could see
Yeah,
everybody just kind of hanging tight. I mean, because there was also like give the guy. It's like, but I mean, I emerged from a toxic family situation, so like from the beginning, it's just like this guy I like there's just like deeply rooted instincts in me to like stay away from people like him from the get-go and all these other people. It's like you're wondering like the makeup of our society because a lot of people just haven't some of them were fortunate enough they weren't born into toxic relationships and they didn't have to escape, like to save their own lives. So it's like, but then they don't listen to a person like me. They'll turn around and be like, "Well, you're overreacting." It's like, dude, I know where this ends. I'm not going to bed. I would die rather than to submit to that again. And that's been the reality for a lot of people, I think, for this whole cycle.
yeah. And it's very funny that the GOP voters, like, I'm starting to see a lot of them be like, "Hey, I just lost my entire family. What just happened?" A lot of them are too deep in to realize why their family stopped talking to them,
Yeah.
or too deep in to actually acknowledge why their vote destroyed their families. But it's interesting because I'm starting to see some backpedal because they're like, "I didn't vote for this." I'm like, "Actually, yes, you did. This is
You know,
exactly who you voted for."
and that's such a good point too, because I think we do have to have discussions about the pathways to if people want to repair that relationship, okay. But it's not just like they just show up and they're just like, well, and then it's over. Oh, I made a mistake and now they're back in. It's like you caused extreme damage, like with those
Yeah.
votes for this, and you have to now spend You have to recover, put us back up or better than what we were before you made that mistake. And this is like the pressure of the news again, because we've been seeing these cycles where they're like the redemption tour for Marjorie Taylor Greene, like, oh, she's on our side now. It's like, no, you have to do the work to make up for all your racist comments and all the violence you caused and all the people that were hurt by that violence. And you might have to work now from now until the end of your days. You're doing nothing but eating humble pie. And that is the price of the mistake that they made. And it's just like, it's really not up to me. It's like, I'm not the one who's just like, oh, you're forgiven. Welcome back to the fold. It's like, it's kind of like if your conscience has churned and you realize what you did, now you're I will support you so that you don't engage in self-harm, but the rest of your acts from now until the end of your days are to make up for the mistakes you made. I live by that myself. There's still a lot of things. It's like I've been pretty good for like the last 20 years, but there's stuff I did when I was young and dumb that I still feel bad about and I still try to make up for. And I think that's just life. That's the whole purpose of this life.
Exactly. Like, speaking as somebody who, like, I will admit my anger problems have gotten out of control with my family recently. Like, I enrolled in therapy. Boom. And anybody who knows me knows that I do not like therapy. I think therapy is full of shit. But the fact that I'm even giving this one last try before I either, you know, call it quits with my entire family or just admit that I'm just maybe not a good match for anyone. The fact that I'm doing that, that's freaking work. That's putting in the work. I want to see a lot of these ex-Republicans do the same thing and say, "You know what? I voted for
Yeah.
a grifter. I am sorry." Sorry is great. Sorry, it all starts with sorry.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you
Mhm.
if you do not say sorry, a lot of the stuff that you're going to do to redeem yourself is either going to be overlooked or unacknowledged by both
Yeah.
yourself and by others. And that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. Apologizing is the first step in anything. The
Yeah.
next thing that you got to do, okay, so you realize that you did wrong. Are you going to vote for the other team? No? Okay. Well, are you going to be feeding the homeless? No? Oh, so you're just sitting there and being like an angry
Yeah.
potato.
So
Hmm.
you're not sorry about what you did. You're sorry that there were consequences and you're sorry that you got caught. So there's like all these things to bring up. And it's like, okay, you said you're sorry. Good. I'm still skeptical. Once I start seeing something, it's like talk is cheap. Once I start seeing it. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it is kind of interesting, like in the context of these defections, because that the toxic workplace, and that's kind of the theme that, everybody's defecting from the Republican Party these are
Mhm.
the cushiest jobs in the world. Your
Literally.
universal health care, you got access to millions and millions of dollars and insider trading and all the information you need. And they're just quitting that. They're giving up on that. And it's because, yeah, when you're beneath the thumb of a narcissist, every second of your life is just a struggle to survive. So they're running away from that. And I mean, we see that a lot reflected. I mean, and the reason that that jerk got elected is because, to such a large extent, that mechanism defines every household in the United States. So,
It really does. Like, I see so many people calling him daddy and stuff like that. And like,
yeah.
okay, you know what? Like, if there was a book of, like, daddy issues, like a dictionary of it, I probably would be like, an illustration of that. I'm aware, I work in porn, I know all the jokes. Um, but, like,
Well,
the fact that they're calling Trump daddy and the fact that it's not actually women who do it the most, it's the men.
yeah,
Have you
yeah,
ever noticed that? That is weird. That is so weird. And I realized, oh my God, these guys have daddy issues. That's why they're calling him daddy. They see their own fathers, their own narcissistic fathers that taught them that black and white thinking, that taught that idea of if you apologize, that means that you did wrong. But if you didn't apologize, then they can't hurt you type thing. That is all daddy issues. We're literally seeing everybody's dysfunctional family played out on a macro scale, and it's wild.
yeah. It's always so interesting to talk to you, Ossiana. And there's so many things that were just kind of lurking behind the surface, and all the people joining. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. It's just, but I mean, it's just sort of like. And I did. I mean, but I've cut all these people out, and the only people welcome in the house now are the nice people. And it's just, even then, it takes years. I mean, there's a couple years, and I was sure to say in all the things that I wrote, because I don't want people to think it's just like, there's only one thing that looks right on the holidays that makes it a functional holiday. Because there were many holidays I spent all by myself, and And, one or two I was sad, and then I'm like, I got rid of the toxic people. I'll just watch the movies that I wanna watch, and that was fine. So it's like, that model works good for people. I want to empower people that way too. One but, like, the worst one is putting your head in the sand and just denying all this hostility. I mean, and then just kinda just carrying on because and just the exhaustion. I mean, and we were saying before, I mean, this whole year has been just nothing but stress. From the moment he got elected, it's just stress. And now we're adding the stress of the holidays on top of that base level of stress that goes along with work stress and life stress. So just everybody, please take care of yourselves, and reach out to us, please. If you're struggling, we'll be here. But I think it's important to talk realistically about these holiday and family issues that go along with political issues.
Mhm. So let's talk a little bit more about this rebellion because I definitely want to hear your 2 cents on this. So we've started to see judges rebel against Trump, ruling against him and openly like defying him even when they've been put in there by the GOP junta. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're starting to see senators refuse to play along with the GOP stance anymore. So why do you think that they're all doing this and why do you think that they're now doing such a quick about face? I think partly partial of it is the Epstein files, but I also think that they're actually doing this as a bid to avoid jail.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. And I mean, we've been seeing throughout this whole thing, there's been a lot of cases against him because everything he's been doing is blatantly illegal. And the judges, and I got a lot of lawyers in my family, and they always say it's like the favorite thing for a lawyer or a judge to do is just not make a decision. Oh, I'm going to defer to this. I'm going to defer to that. And they just wriggle out of what and actually make a decision. Wriggle, wriggle. And so, I mean, the one thing that's been in their favor this whole time with this administration is they make paperwork errors every time they submit something. It's like, well, this is nonsense, and this person was incorrectly appointed. So they're making, but it's like, yes, first and foremost, what anybody who is a lawyer thinks about is don't end up in jail yourself. How do I wriggle out of jail? How do I avoid accountability? So that's what they do. And but now it's just like it's steamrolling because the actions of the administration are getting more desperate and it's just getting easier. So just like the way the system is set up, they don't have to openly defy him, but they can just be like, well, you forgot to cross your T on this document, refile that in 2 months. 2 months later, this administration looks weaker again. So then they can just kind of keep kicking it down the road and
But they're
hopefully
not
we'll have midterm.
they're not even doing that. They're openly ruling against him. So like that's why I'm saying I think that a lot of these judges and I think a lot of these politicians, the reason that they're acting the way that they are is because they're genuinely afraid of going to jail because these are the actions of somebody who they're not only showing remorse, but they're actually in panic mode. They're
Yeah,
thinking
I
that
think so.
they're
Yeah.
thinking that the flack that they're going to get from the GOP is going to be worse than what happens when the gavel bangs against them. And I know this because I've seen this behavior in people who I've known who have gone to jail for a very long time.
So, so you're saying they're afraid of like a GOP mob, like a mega mob?
Well, there is a MAGA mob. I mean, if you take a look, there's a reason why they all go in lockstep. They all have dirt on each other. The fact that they had that image leak of Clinton doing his whole "that boy is mine" like with Trump and Clinton, and yeah, that there's definitely a lot of dirt. Like, if there was any more dirt, it would be the Ossiana's cleaning company of dirt. All right? Like, or like a cat litter plant. Like, that's how much dirt we're talking about. Or a mulch plant. Whatever you want to say, but it's dirty, okay? It's grimy. But, like the GOP for years, and it's been something that I've noticed with a lot of politicians where if the GOP gets their claws in you, there's something going on behind the scenes where they're straight up forcing people to comply with them. I think it
Yeah.
happened with Fetterman. I think it happened with a Democratic senator in New Jersey who ended up voting straight ticket red on almost every issue presented to him. I don't know what they're doing. I assume it's going to be blackmail or something similar, but
You know
that's
what?
mafia behavior.
Yeah. And there's so many different ways to look at. There's so many people at different levels because we have had like the there are legitimate judges in there just like F, we're just not going to do this. They strat and then there's the whole other group that is sort of like wriggling around. But I think there's a lot of just once the funding goes away, I think you look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, she's made herself so rich at this point too. But she's another one of that post turtle is the old line where it's like you see a turtle sitting on a post and you realize somebody put it there. And then they're all that way. Like the entire Republic, like every one of these, like Ted Cruz keeps winning elections. Like his own family doesn't like him. That guy, his dog doesn't like him. It's like imagine buying a dog and having that dog despise you. And that's that guy. And there's this money out in the world that can get those guys in these positions. And I think what happens is, they're like, okay, we're going to help you, and they're making money, and they're like, this life is pretty good, and then they just get scared. So I think there are cases where it's blackmail, but I think there's other cases where it's just pure cowardice, and you got these completely mediocre dudes who know everything has been handed to them by these evil power structures.
Like, there's definitely a lot of cowardice in this, simply because I'll be honest with you, there are very few things that are as, timid and as scared and as loud about being tough as a mediocre white guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So
let's just be real.
no, absolutely, and that's actually really because the president is that way with his. I mean, the guy acts like he's a tough guy, and I grew up with this too, and you got all these people stomping around acting like they're all tough, and it's sort of like whatever, and it's like I just don't want to be in a fight, I just don't want to do that. But I remember I started like just doing things athletically. That was running you down, and this is just like the abusive family. But I discovered, it's like if I go out and run a marathon, I feel good about myself. So I was skiing and stuff, and it just got to a point when I hit, and I kind of distanced myself from them because I don't like overt confrontation. But it got to the point where I was like 24 or 25, and you're getting these people that are like 75 years old trying to act tough. And I'm just like, you know what? At this point, it's just like you just need to shut up. Because it's like I do not personally choose to fight, but it's like, and it's what do I gain by beating up on some guy who's 75? But at the same time, don't sit there and act all tough around me because they'll grab you. Like they were always kind of push you around and stuff, and at some point you're just
Yeah.
like, knock it off. And then you like realize it's like I just broke the guy's hip. And it's just sort of like then the whole illusion of their toughness just evaporates. And I think the whole right wing is always on the edge of that bubble bursting and realizing the fraud of who they are is about to be exposed.
Like, the best example of this, I think, would be Elon Musk.
Oh God. Yeah.
Like, that dude has done everything possible because he thinks that he genuinely wanted to be, like, this weirdly beloved edge lord who knocked up a bunch of women to prove how fertile and how hot he is. Like, not for nothing, but, like, he oozes this weird fakeness where I don't think that he even knows who he is when he looks in the mirror. He's like, "Okay, I'm Tesla guy, but who is Tesla guy and why should that guy be important?" He can't answer that.
Yeah.
He chases after like it's almost as if he never really grew out of high school, you know? He chases yes, exactly, Beesbury. He's a snowflake. He chases after all these alternative women who or all these like MAGA women who all they do is they make money off of telling other women to ruin their lives.
Yeah.
And he thinks that because they sound submissive online that he can have them and that, hey, I'm this macho man with a stable of women. The fact that he has
Yeah.
such a hard time getting women interested in him when he has literally like what, $1 trillion at this point, it's so telling, like, how do you fumble so many girls that you cannot
Yeah.
even get,
Yeah.
like, women to be with you if you have $1 trillion?
Yeah.
Like,
Eh,
the
eh,
fear in him is palpable.
Yep. And somebody posted the other day, I saw it somewhere. They're just like, all these MAGA dudes are wondering why they're lonely and alone. And it's like, well, gee, you dedicate yourself to a hate ideology where you insult people all the time and you never you look at as compassion as weakness. And then, after all that toxicity for decades, nobody wants to be around you and you wonder why that is. And just like that essential patheticness of these guys who just Especially you got all those like those guys who like strap guns all over themselves, and they stomp around like the
Hey.
gun nut guys.
I
I,
mean I mean, I have friends who do that, but I think that's a little bit different.
well,
They
there's a
actually
relationship
do
there. I guess
stuff.
there's a well, you could.
I mean, I think that those guys are trying to pretend to be my friends, and that's kind of
Okay.
weird for a number of reasons. I mean, if they want a welfare check too, I mean, I'm sure they could be happy to oblige, but come on.
Oh man, yeah.
Like, no, but it's so bad because like and I've always noticed that the guys who are the worst with this are usually these guys from the suburbs. They're usually white, but not always, who grew up in a very pampered setting, who had parents who were kind of strict, but not really. And their entire life was entirely dedicated to following what everybody else told them that they should be. They never sat down, they never tried to figure out who they wanna be. They never tried like, a lot of these guys, they ooze down low LGBT vibes, looking at you, Peter Thiel, even though you're very open about it, like, all this stuff is what happens when you hate yourself and when you're afraid of actually being yourself. What we're seeing is all these guys are basically ruining everyone else in order to make everyone else feel as bad as they do, just because they want to show that they're tough, but they don't even know what they're being tough against.
Yeah, that there's nothing more pitiful than that false tough guy, like as your personal identity. And it's just sort of like it's gonna be exposed at some point. And I think, and I was just even this morning though, like I just got this reaction to bullies. I just cannot stand it. Like to the point where it's just like it's like years ago, I made that decision. It's like I would die rather than deal with this. I don't care what's gonna. I'm just not gonna submit to this. And it's sort of like when I was talking to Allison Wiltz about this too. She was saying, she's like, "You're not putting me in the trunk of a car. Like if somebody grabs her, it's like I'm not going in that trunk of that car. It's like I'm gonna fight at this point. But it's just so just to have this entire political movement be reverential to bullies has just been yeah, that's been really hard for me.
Beast Reverse says, I get serious bi vibes from Donald J. Trump, and if anybody saw me wince, that's why, because now I'm imagining J. Trump getting married to Bill Clinton, and I'm going to have nightmares for the rest of the week. Ah.
That's just so heartbreaking. It's so heartbreaking. Like, just go read the Kinsey report. It's like nobody's either one end or the other. There's a spectrum, and it's just sort of like I've been thinking about doing an article about just like let's just encourage young men to have same sex to just experiment with consensual same sex relationships, just
Yo,
to see if you like it. Go ahead and do that. Then.
did you hear about, speaking of like encouraging young men to do things? I don't know how this ended up on my feed, but apparently in Colombia, there's a village where young men are encouraged to have relations with donkeys.
Oh, I think I'd heard about that somewhere. I can't remember if that was just a
Is
rumor or if it
this
was a real deal. Yeah, I remember what you're
so? Does
saying.
this mean that Donald J. Trump is Colombian?
Oh, man. Well, I don't know. That guy, yeah, they're mentioned with the relationship with him and the devil on South Park, which has been really funny.
Oh my god, I love them. I love South Park for that. Hey, Satan, relax, guy.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. There's so many knots tied together, and it's just like, yeah, like why is it so hard for us to just understand that we should be allowed to explore our own sexuality as human beings. But then just at all those levels, I mean, I always tell people when you're telling people that they're sinners, that's grooming. It's like the second you're like everybody's a sinner. Well, gee, that's kind of like the groomer's playbook. Tell people that they're shit from day one before they've done anything. And then just
Put
like
him on the
leveraging the
defensive.
power of sexuality to abuse people even further is the cruelest thing I can think of. It's horrible.
No, like one of the smartest people I've ever met, God rest her soul, once told me that if you wanted to control somebody, control their sexuality. And the more I thought about it, I was like, yeah, you know what? My sexuality being as hard to control by any means as it is actually the reason I'm still alive. But it's also one of the things that got me into a lot of trouble. And every time that I was in serious trouble, the people around me kept trying to control who I was sleeping with, what I was doing in the bedroom, and, after a while, I was like, "You know what? This makes sense." I honestly believe that the number one most dangerous sign about the GOP is how sex obsessed they are, because nothing good ever comes from people who are trying to tell you how to live your most intimate life. As long as you're not physically and psychologically hurting anyone, then you should be allowed to do whatever the heck you wanna do. Like, if you wanna bang 100 guys, go for it. If you wanna bang, like, a 97-year-old guy who's sitting there being like, "Hey, hey, sonny, I'll do it with ya," then do it.
Yeah, yeah,
But beware of anybody who sits there and tells you that you're born wrong for wanting something.
yeah, yeah. And it's interesting though too because so much of this these are like what are considered all the taboo topics, and it was I had really an understanding when I was reading Virginia Giuffre's book, and it's just because like in writing, that's one of the rules. You don't write about sexual abuse of children, So then it's just becomes though, and it's like it's important that that not be just like, oh, that shouldn't be just normalized as entertainment. But in the
It's
course
not
of somebody,
entertainment.
I'm sorry,
It's not entertainment.
yeah, it should not be, and but it's one of those things when you're reading, but that's the danger of it, where it's like to even to talk about these topics, openly. And when I was reading her book, and it just closed that loop where I'm just like, this is what those people have been doing, this just connects it. And it goes from like we have so many topics that are considered these taboo topics, that we do need to explore just because within that areas we don't even look are hidden, all the mechanisms for our oppression, and they've been capitalizing on it because that other side, they go digging into those areas and they use that stuff even as they tell us, it's the don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain thing. Well, yeah, you're very right.
Mhm.
It's something you gotta handle with care because, I mean, it was that's a hard book. It's a hard book to read, and even as I was reading that book, I'm thinking, some people are gonna read this and take the wrong thing from it. They're gonna read it in, like, and it's so there need to be guidelines and qualifications, but at the same time, we can't afford to just not allow these subjects to go unexplored.
That's the interesting thing, and that's one of the things that I say that I'm not a big fan of free speech because yeah,
Yeah,
we do need to talk about certain things, but this whole just asking questions thing was one of the biggest psyops run by Russian bots, run by the GOP, and we all see what happened there. We have a bunch of people now refuting science. We have people who have died needlessly because they all rejected. Hello, Mr. Bit. Sorry, he's he's being a bit ham. Do you need to be ready for your close up? Is that it? But I also think that there actually needs to be traceability on the internet. I would prefer that everybody actually use their real name online, and I know I'm going to get flack for that, but frankly, I would want to know exactly who I'm talking to. I would want to know, okay, is this one of the people who's quote unquote just asking questions about why Hitler was wrong? Like,
yeah,
there's certain things which, I'm sorry, have to be barred in polite society, and in American law, it used to
yeah,
be that free speech had things such as hate speech or fighting words, so to speak.
yeah, yeah,
We kind of abandoned that, and we started just doing this, that, and the other, and it's things like
yeah,
books like Mein Kampf and Virginia Giuffre's book, or heck, I'll even throw out my pending fiction book. There's a lot of topics and subjects in those things where you can get a million different things out of them, including a lot of, like,
yeah.
really heinous, quote, unquote, "lessons" if you're looking for them. The problem is that they all had a social impact, for better or for worse. Mein Kampf is a brilliant piece of history. That's the worst part about it. It's a book that killed millions of people and continues to destroy society, which is why I don't think that everyone should be allowed to read Mein Kampf.
That's yeah. Been wrestling with those ideas too. The first part is, yeah, free speech has never been. There's always been some assumed qualifications, like a doctor's not allowed to give privileged information about a minor and say, well, that's just free speech. So
Yeah.
there's, but it's sort of like, all these defenders of free speech conveniently ignore those assumed common sense qualifications. And so that's just the complexity of language. I mean, I think Mein Kampf is outlawed in Germany. I don't think you're allowed to have it there. Um, it's challenging, and I mean, I struggle with it, and particularly on books like Virginia Giuffre's, book. And it's like when you're detailing just really graphic examples of sexual abuse of children, it's hard. I mean, you're just, and it's like, how do you handle this appropriately? But it's information too, and I know you know, I've been around situations where I've seen abuse, and it's just we get into this complacency in our culture where people don't recognize the reality of things because of the place we deliberately turn away. I guess it's a yeah, I don't have an easy answer on that one. It's sort of like I see what you're saying. They need to be handled appropriately. I guess
There
we
needs
can
to be a
really
licensure.
say it's not being handled right now. Go ahead.
There needs to be a licensure. You need to be able to prove that one, you have the critical thinking required. Two, you don't go blindly following Nazi shit. And three, you have to have a long history of not having hate speech on your social media or on your public record.
Yeah. And what you said is true too, because over the last 10 years especially, it used to be, yeah, it wasn't protected under free speech to threaten the lives of politicians, but the right has been making that their rallying cry for 15 years now, probably going all the way back to Obama, and just nobody's ever prosecuted because of that. Then we have the entire right wing where there's this like establishment thinking in the United States, like you're not supposed to arrest politicians. It's like, what the hell? It's like, and that comes back from an era of decorum where we could at least, that was probably an illusion then just as much as it is today, but it's steadily gotten more and more corrupt, it seems. It's like Arturo Dominguez pointed it out, how in other countries, if somebody tries to overthrow the government, they're going to jail. But here it's just sort of like, even now we got Republican senators saying, well, it's not appropriate to be arresting politicians. Like, yeah, it is. It is if they're committing crimes, like awful crimes.
Reminds me of like Romania's Ceausescu, where he was like, I was trying to do the best I could. Is that why you were so afraid of your own people that you hired Palestinian bodyguards?
Yeah, yeah.
No, but like another thing that I want to point out with all these mass resignations is that during the final leg of World War II, um, especially like shortly after Hitler killed himself, a lot of German politicians started denouncing immediately
Yeah.
Nazi rule and the anti-Semitism stuff. And while anti-Semitism was still at a very high pitch shortly after World War II, so many of them walked back. And there were actually a lot of Nazis in power. And what I think we're starting to see here is I think that a lot of these judges, a lot of the GOP operatives, what they're doing is they're trying to, one, avoid jail. They're also trying to avoid the history book being like, yeah, this dude was kind of like Josef Mengele, except for Stephen Miller, who I honestly think whatchamacallit, I think that he would probably revel in that. He'd be like, oh, thank you. Thank you for calling me Goebbels.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I think that there's a reason for this, and this was the other thing I wanted to talk about. Um, so has anybody seen the ICE updates on the ICE camps lately?
No. What ones are you specifically meaning?
So here's the interesting thing. I was actually trying to find out what happened to the people at Alligator Alcatraz, and I've been trying to figure out what's been going on with all these ICE camps. One, they've lost several thousand people in these camps. We have no idea where they are. Some people are saying that it's because of a lack of paperwork and they just got shipped off to the wrong place. But that doesn't fully explain the sheer number of people who are there. ICE is no longer allowing lawyers or clergy to go visit their clients.
Yeah.
They have people signing NDAs about what's going on in those camps. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, when they won't even allow a priest for last rites in there, or when they're telling you you have to sign an NDA over what you've seen there, that means that you've got a death camp going on.
Yeah.
I honestly think that people are getting unalived in there, and I think that a lot of these politicians see the writing on the wall that it's about to get leaked out. Because Alligator Alcatraz, they're still sending people there even though it's supposed to be shut down. How does that happen?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's no laws at all right now. I mean, we've got the ICE running around arresting people. You don't know if it's even ICE because they don't have to show identification. So it's just random people, and it's just it makes no sense. It's been that way. At first,
Mhm.
when they first announced what they were gonna do, we were like, "Well, that's gonna be exploited by evil people." And now we're at 3 or 4 months in or however many months in, 10 months since they've been doing this, and and then it gets worse, they start doing it, they see what they can get away with, they try to get away with more. I think we're seeing too, like, there's gonna be because decent people, I think the majority of people are decent, and they see a situation, and to them, for most people, it'll be the regime ends, it'll just be relief. But there's a percentage of the population that's just like, there's a power space now. There's opportunity now. And so we're going to see another group of evil people try to slide right in and take the power the seats of power that have just been vacated. What things are going on there? Yeah. So I guess I'm coming around to this thinking of how our reasonable, rational people, they don't want to think about these hard topics. They don't want to think about our government abducting children and violating them and murdering people. But that's just what
That's
we
what's
have to be
happening.
thinking about. Yeah.
Like, whether we like it or not, there's going to be at least 1 or 2 million people who were directly affected by what happened to these people, who have had relatives who were most likely unalived, who have had relatives that they'll never see again, even if they're still alive. They might be in Zimbabwe, they might be in a black site like Eritrea, they might be in God knows they won't even talk about it exactly. So, how are we supposed to deal with that as a country on our conscience? Like, how do we deal with the fact that we all knew that this was happening? That the media has been dead silent about it. The only places that you really actually hear about anything are either local news or individual like bloggers such as myself and Walter here. By the way, you should totally support Walter, support me, support anybody who's trying to cover this stuff and who is trying to call it out, because it is very hard to actually come to terms with this when you're reading the evidence, when you're seeing it all. Um but yeah, I think that eventually we are going to start getting war crime charges for the people who are involved in this particular junta, in this particular regime. And I want to see the actual ICE officers get arrested. I want to see them on trial for war crimes, and I want them to have the maximum penalty.
Yeah. There's a lot of, and then the lawyers will have to help us there, like what the actual, but going back to Al Capone, if you get him for tax evasion, they're going away for something. And there's many, many crimes that have been committed. Some are easier to prove than others. Yeah, well, it's ongoing. And we'll see though. I mean, you're right though. You've got these people that are sitting in the seats of power and they're seeing behind the curtain and they're running. They're getting,
They're
and a
scared.
lot of them are going. We'll see tomorrow what happens in Tennessee if we get another if another Democrat wins in like a deep red. That is a red, red district, and it's supposed to be a pretty close election there, the special election.
No, it's not. It's not going to be close.
You think she's going to win, or you think?
So far, we've had a lot of deep red areas turn blue.
Yeah,
That's unheard of, especially with the amount of propaganda that that area has, especially with all the stuff that's going. The fact that we're seeing, like, I believe that it was Northern Virginia, which was, like Virginia, they had a full sweep. It used to be like 50-50 red and blue, some areas bright red. Um, then there were others that were, blue, but they had a full sweep. I've heard of Iowa, of all places,
yeah, yeah,
some Democrats. I've heard of Idaho electing Democrats recently.
yeah,
Jersey, which has been steadily leaning further and further red since I've moved here again. Um, it's been getting redder and redder, and we still got Mikey Sherrill. A lot of these places, they're starting to realize that they've been stolen from. Like, even even voters who are, like, usually all about the propaganda, I don't see them being about the propaganda anymore.
you know? Yeah, and that's even with all the various, voter restrictions that are in place throughout the country that the Americans don't like to talk about either. I guess as I talk about this, I mean, it is hard. I mean, you're talking about these atrocities going on, and yeah, I mean, as a father, you don't even wanna think about it, but it's just like, we have to, I think unless you are thinking about it, and we started off, we were talking about that pressure, you're pressured by everything in this society and the media and famous people. "Oh, just suck it up and go hang out with that uncle that you know is a child rapist." It's like, "Fuck no, I'm not doing it." And, but then it's like the amount of pushback you get when you point that out, and if you're the survivor of something like this, nobody takes you seriously, there's never consequences. You're the one who's gonna be shamed, and just these mini structures on top of each other, and it's just like I've had that, just that awakening just in the last few months from, we're just forced to take those deep dives. Like Ellie, I don't know if you know Ellie Leonard, but she's been, and I talked with her about it because she's done all these transcripts and child abuse cases, and I'm just like, because she's just like this sweet mother, and I'm just like, how do you do this? And she's just like, well, we have to do it to be you know, one of the people that makes justice possible, and yeah, the more people just embrace these true horrors that are going on, the more empowered you actually are to change it and to fix it and make it better.
Exactly, like, I know that a lot of people here know that me and Karen Shelton are very close, like, we're besties. She does a lot of astrology, you can check her out on Sazio. And, one of the things that she said is that right now our world is dealing with a Saturn transit, and Saturn is this planet of extreme change. It's often of incarceration, of loss, of suffering. Pretty much, whenever you see Saturn coming around like this, it's not a good time for really anybody. But the one thing that she said that I found is very true about my life and is probably true about a lot of other people's lives is that during this transit, during this retrograde, um, Saturn forces you to get rid of what no longer serves you, get rid of things that are hurting you, get rid of things that are hurting others, or face the facts. The towers will crumble during Saturn, and when that happens, you either can embrace the change and you can lean into it, or you can make life more difficult for yourself. And I see that so much in our politics right now.
Yeah. Hey, we're closing in an hour, but I want to spend a few more minutes. Do you have like 10 more minutes?
Of
I wa-
course.
I want to because I've been I mean I got kind of emotional with all this what we're talking about. And I just want to kind of let's just kind of twist it to the other way, like how we can survive and do a little bit better. And because I just my heart goes out to all the people because I know a lot of people are just in really, really hard situations. And so much of the American just population, people are just like you were saying, they've all been gaslighted, they've all been indoctrinated and groomed to just tolerate this level of abuse, and then to
Yeah.
just ignore all these horrible things that are out there. And I had a point in my life, and I was at 26, I'm just like gone. And I took my backpack and I went and lived in Peru for 10 years, and I didn't know anybody. And it's like I didn't know what I was doing at the time. There's times when you're like your conscious mind, you just kind of turn off and you're just like, okay, let's just take let go of the wheel and let that other part of you just drive you forward and do what's the right thing to get into a place where you feel a little bit more protected. And it's just I just want everybody to know it's possible, the United States, we can fix it, and it's possible to meet caring communities of people that take care of you. And these struggles are real. These things you're feeling are real. They're going to try to make you think they're not, but you're free to love whoever you want to love. You have to do that. And I don't know, just reach out if you need help. Reach out either to me or Ossiana. We'd be happy to talk.
And also, I know that a lot of people here are struggling. A lot of people are missing a lot of different people who they either wanted to fix or who they had to, let go of for one reason or another. Especially during the holidays. I'm gonna be making a quick guide for people who need that because, I'm dealing with my own shit right now, but in paganism, they also have a saying which is as above, so below. And that means that what we see on a macro scale in our society is often reflective of what we see on individual family levels and sometimes even within ourselves. You cannot change what Donald Trump is going to try to do in the next 48 hours. I'm just going to point that out. No matter how much we can do, unless you're an oligarch on paying him off, you're not going to be able to change that. But you know what you can do? You can change how you react to the shit around you. You can change how you tolerate things. You can change how to get the hell out of a toxic situation if you so choose. You can say, okay, listen, if you guys even want me around you, I need this, this, and this. Either make it happen or let's just part ways. You can also change the way that you feel when you do cut someone off because there is that residual guilt. And I'm not going to lie,
Mhm.
it sucks.
Yeah,
But you
yeah,
know what? You cannot set yourself on fire to keep others warm.
yeah. In Peru, they always told me, and it was the first time I heard it, but they said to me, "You got to take care of yourself first, second, and third. Take care of yourself." And I'd always come from this. I don't know if this is a United States thing where you're just like, "Well, you have to give up on yourself for the benefit of everyone else." So it was like in another country, it's like if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't help other people. You can't. And just like you said, I mean, watching this president, he's just corrupt to the core. I mean, and I know people like this idea of trying to help people to change to see a better way. They're just not going to do it. Standing up to bullies. I mean, when people are like i- preying on the innocent, you have to stand up to them. And yeah, this idea of that guilt you feel like some relationships that were fundamental relationship in my life are gone, and decades have passed. And those people are the ones who made that choice, not me. I chose to take care of myself and to be healthy and to have kids and to do what's right by my kids and look forward. And if those other people want to insist that I have to tolerate their abuse in order to have a relationship with them, they're asking it's not fair what they're asking. And they're only and it's hurting them as much as it's hurting me. So even
Hmm.
though it is painful to have to cut those doors on people that hurt you, you're not doing them any favors by staying in their life either. You're actually maybe arguably hurting them worse. But like you said,
Yeah,
we can't change how other people act.
exactly. I hope I was able to offer some enlightenment to some folks here. In the meanwhile,
Yeah.
I have to go back on bed rest because I got diagnosed with extreme stress and it actually made me
Yeah.
break out in a full body rash.
Oh yeah. It's stressful this time of year, and it's stress sneaks up on you. So all the best to you, Ossiana, and I hope you felt a little better just
Oh,
talking
I
about
do.
these things.
A little bit later today, I'm going to be getting a full body massage and I'm going to be hitting the sauna, which is going to be lots of fun. I might also just hit the pool for a little bit. As of right now, I've been put on rest duty, so I will
Yeah.
try to write a couple of things tonight, but no guarantees. I need to take things a little bit slow for today and tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, it was so good talking to you, Ossiana. I feel all worked up, but I don't know. I get your rest, get into the pool. Everybody out there, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself first, second, and third. You have to take care of yourself first before you can help anyone else. And take it to heart
Worst
and reach out if you need help.
worst comes to worst, you guys might see a picture of me in a swimsuit or something like that while I'm at the hot tub, okay? I'll
Yeah,
talk to you
that
later.
sounds perfect. All right. You have a great day. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.